Alright guys, good job. Open, lights on.
Well, if you are anywhere near social media, you have seen our big push called Boycott Tims.com. Why on earth would I call for a boycott of Tim Hortons? I mean, just look at me. You can see that I love coffee, and even more than that, I love those little donuts. And Timbits, boom, bam, 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 it's like popcorn. I can eat 40 myself. Why would I boycott Tim's? I mean, that is like boycotting my right hand. Why would I do that? The answer is because Tim Hortons doesn't respect me, doesn't like me, and so out of self-respect, I cannot give them my business. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Tim Hortons, as you know, has little TVs in their stores that they show their muffins and coffees and stuff, but they sell ads on there, which is sort of neat. It's a profit source for them. So Enbridge, a large Canadian pipeline company, was taking a very soft-focused, gentle ads reminding people that we all use energy every day. I mean, duh, how do you think the trucks bring the donuts to the Tim Hortons? Duh, how do you think the cars that go through the Tim Hortons drive-thrus get their gas? As you probably know, Tim Hortons co-locates a lot of stores on Esso gas stations. So Tim Hortons knows the importance of energy and oil and gas and transporting it. But some US-based anti-oil sands lobby groups, one's called Forest Ethics, and of course the David Suzuki Foundation, which takes in $1 million a year of foreign anti-oil sands money, they started pestering Tim Hortons, take those ads down, take those ads down, take those ads down. And someone at Tim Hortons, I don't know who, some social media intern or something, some PR guru in Toronto who knows nothing about Tim Hortons and its blue-collar roots. Tim Hortons, you know, started in Hamilton, one of the hardest working cities in Canada. It's really popular in Alberta in the oil patch, all the guys driving through in their pickup trucks to get a cup of joe before going to work. But some PR know-nothing thought, oh, well, these anti-oil sands activists from Washington State are really bugging us. Let's cancel and rip up their contract with Enbridge. So Tim Hortons announced on Twitter that they had ripped up their legally binding advertising contract with Enbridge because of some foreign-funded environmental extremists. So that's what they think of Canadian oil and gas workers. Their money is too unethical for Tim Hortons to take. Stop and think about that. Tim Hortons is saying that Enbridge is so beyond the pale, so disreputable, so immoral, that they would put them in the category of, I don't know, whose ads would they ban? Some obscene pornography or I don't know, selling weapons or something. Like, imagine how bad an advertiser would have to be for Tim Hortons to say, we don't want you here. Well, that is what they think of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Canadians who work either directly or indirectly for the oil and gas industry. Except for that's obviously not true. Because as I pointed out, Tim Hortons is based on oil and gas, not just their own company, but their drive-thrus. And take a look at this. Tim Hortons operates in many OPEC dictatorships. They have stores in Kuwait, in Oman, in Qatar, in United Arab Emirates, and looky look. They have plans to open 100 stores in Saudi Arabia, the biggest oil country in the world, the boss of OPEC. So you see, Tim Hortons is saying that we Canadians, if you work for oil and gas in Canada, they don't want your money. That's dirty money, blood money. But they will take OPEC money. So they are actually, by their conduct, saying they prefer to deal with Saudi's dictatorship than Canadian ethical oil. Well, I'm sorry, how can I go back to Tim Hortons in good conscience with self-respect after they say that about me? They didn't say that about me personally, but they said that about Enbridge, and by association, anyone who works with or for or benefits from Enbridge. And that's me, because I love the Canadian oil and gas industry and those who work in it. Well, we started boycotttims.com, and we have thousands of people who signed our petition. Take a look at the petition. It's basically saying to Tim Hortons, repeal this foolish move. Well, as I say this, they have yet to even acknowledge their blunder. Well, we've got the petition, and we have written this radio ad. Here, take a listen to the radio ad. Tim Hortons bowed to pressure from a U.S.-based anti-oil sands lobby group and ripped up an ad contract with an Alberta pipeline company. They think the oil sands are unethical. Maybe they prefer OPEC oil? Well, let's give Tim Hortons their wish. If they don't want Alberta oil money, let's not give it to them. Boycott Tim's, just like they're boycotting us. Don't buy your coffee at Tim's. Buy it anywhere else until they show us some respect. Sign our petition at boycotttims.com and chip in to help pay for this radio ad. Visit boycotttims.com. What do you think of that ad? I love it. If you want to chip in, go do boycotttims.com. You can help us $10, $25, whatever, get it on the radio. I have to tell you, Rogers Radio is refusing to air it. They don't want to offend their other advertiser, Tim Hortons. Look, I get it, but just don't pretend that you're a real news radio station if you're going to censor a legitimate point of view for your own commercial reasons. Speaking of commercial reasons, it doesn't even make sense for Tim Hortons to be anti-oil and gas. I mean, seriously, the people who lobbied to press them to dump Enbridge, they're not even Canadians, or if they're Canadians, they're paid by Americans. Forced Ethics and the Suzuki Foundation, who are part of this Mau-Mauing of Tim Hortons, they get millions of dollars from U.S. funders like the Tides Foundation of San Francisco or New York's Rockefeller Brothers Fund. These people are not the backbone of Tim Hortons' customer base, but they managed to convince some social media intern in Toronto to nuke the whole thing. We've got to keep up the fight. Now, I'm recording this from Toronto, but as I speak, they're getting ready in Calgary to have a real-life protest outside of Tim Hortons in Calgary, a grassroots protest, a normal protest. Those are very rare that normal people protest, because normally it's professional activists who really have nothing else to do. So this one obviously will be at lunch hour, because severely normal people in Calgary work. So during their own lunch break, they'll be there with the protest signs. We'll bring you that story when we get the video from Calgary. But in the meantime, listen, I'm sacrificing as much as anyone. I love my Timmies, but I will not continue to love them until they love me back. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.